My name's Michael Joseph Legacy. I'm from the Maritimes, New Brunswick. That's where my roots are from. I was born in Toronto, came back here when I was 2. I was born a Christian Catholic until recently when I entered into Islam. I went to a Catholic school. I was baptized, made my first communion, confirmation. For me, it was a Sunday God. God only was there on Sunday for me growing up. It wasn't an everyday God. I come from a large family, 11 of us, 5 boys, 6 girls. I'm the baby and I'm a twin. I have a twin sister. I'm generally a happy person. It became harder and harder to leave my door, to leave my residence and have the smiling face, because this is me. I always smile at everybody. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. But I found when I was going back and I shut that door, I was dragged out lonely. I was starting to get depressed. I even went as far as to see a psychologist. I was on antidepressants. I've had tremendous losses in my life. When I was younger, I lost my best friend. I watched him get run over by a transport truck when I was in grade 6. That was a horrific loss for me. It took me a long time as a child to get over that. As I did, went through life, got married. When my first daughter was born, I was coming home from work in Toronto up Patton Road, and a child ran out in front of me between 2 parked cars, and I hit him. And he died that night. It took a long, long time for me to get over that. I couldn't get behind a wheel. My anxiety, every time I would see a child playing on the side of the street, I would just, my anxiety. To this day, I still don't like, I'll drive if I have to, but if I don't have to, I don't drive, because even when I'm a passenger in a car and if I see kids playing on the side of the street, I never got charged. It wasn't my fault or anything like that. To this day, I still see that child's face right in front of me. So I had to deal with that all my life. And some of the people around me had a hard time understanding that, because in my family, it's like, man up, get over it, it's done, and move on. So I had a hard time. I found out at an early age that I was allergic to alcohol. So as all your friends are partying around you and drinking and stuff like that, so for them it was alcohol and marijuana. For me, it couldn't have been the alcohol, it was marijuana. So that's how I blended in, that's how I fitted in when I was younger. As I got a little bit older, I started selling drugs to pay for my addiction, which was just a marijuana addiction. So it became quite profitable, and I ventured, and I rode that lifestyle for a while until I got caught. Then I went to prison, and boy, oh boy, what a slap in the face. There were more drugs, more abuse inside the prison walls than there is out on the street. You have access to anything you want in prison, anything. And the statement of doing your own time, that don't happen. You don't do your own time in prison. You do everybody else's time along with your own. You go with the flow, or you have a rough go. So that's where, for the very first time, I did cocaine in prison. How about that? And it took me a while when I got out of there to bounce back and bring back my happy self again, because if you know anybody that knows me, they'll know that, oh, Mike's always happy. I'm always happy on the outside. It was the inside that was dying. And I think 3 months ago when I finally packed my bag and left home, it was either I leave or I didn't want to be here anymore. Literally didn't want to be here anymore. I was ready to go. I was asking to go.
I met Michael, I was about 6 years old in Holy Family School. We both went to the same Catholic school. Actually, I went to school with his first wife. I went to high school with her. And he always says, you married the wrong girl. In 1995, after my mother had passed away, it was just before Christmas. And we started dating. I didn't get along with my father for a long time. And I left home when I was 14. And I was the youngest of 8. He was alcoholic at the time. Not an admitted alcoholic, but he would drink 3 40 ounces a day, and not think he had a drinking problem. But he worked every day, owned his own businesses, and we just didn't see eye to eye.
April, she has a niece. Her daughter went missing. She's 11 years old. We got the phone call. So it was just before Christmas 2 years ago. And April jumped on a plane, went to Nova Scotia.
My sister had passed away when my niece was only 10. So since she was 10, she's been like my daughter.
For 2 weeks, she was missing. I was at home worrying. We finally found her. She was murdered. It was April's niece, the mother, that killed the child.
I still thought I had to be there for her, and I couldn't see that she had done what she had done because I was so close and she wasn't telling me the truth. And how it turned out in the end, and when we found out, it just made it worse for Mike and I to get along because I wasn't seeing what he was seeing when he was saying, you know, come home.
April and I, we split up for about 9 months. I felt awful. I felt terrible. I couldn't make her understand. That wall was so high between us at that time. After she left, I started doing drugs again. The loneliness was just horrendous. I just, you know, I was lonely when she was there, but when she was gone, I was lost. Towards the end, all my savings were gone. I was doing about $700 to $1,000 a day. I just up and left one day. I just packed a bag and I left, and I came down to Toronto. I found myself going to the Holy Trinity Church, praying every day and asking to speak to somebody and one morning I woke up early in the morning after sleeping at Osgood Hall, and I met a fellow named Solomon, and he was a Muslim, and he put his hand out to me and he started talking to me about Ramadan and what Ramadan meant to him, and asked me if I was a homeless person, and I said, well, I'm this close to being homeless. And then for the next 7 days we met every morning at 7 o'clock on University Avenue, and we talked more and more and more. Well, what Islam made me realize is that I have no control over yesterday or tomorrow, and I should not worry about today because Allah will worry about today. So that's what changed it for me, and that's what, when I let go of that feeling, and that's when I entered into Islam. Everything seemed brighter, easier, better. I started sleeping, praying 5 times a day. That's a big thing for me. It makes me feel bright inside, gives me hope. For those 5 minutes, 5 times a day, it gives me peace and tranquility. And that's a hard thing to find nowadays, is peace and tranquility, and Allah has provided that for me.
And they said they couldn't find Michael, that he was gone. So a couple of days later, I got a phone call, and it was Michael, and we hadn't talked for 9 months. I saw a difference in him. You could see a light in his eye. He wasn't doing drugs anymore. He wasn't as angry anymore. He was more humble, more loving. Because we were together so long, we wanted to have relations, and because I was a new Muslim, I wanted to make sure it was done the right way. He came down, he says, I have a question to ask you. He says, will you marry me? So I thought about it. I was shocked when she said yes. I really didn't think she'd say yes, especially after everything that we've been through. Robert Heft, he married us that day. And then about 2 weeks later, I entered into Islam.
La ilaha illallah, 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 ya Rabbi khudh biyadi. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha